Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this informational meeting for the Pittsford Community Solar Program. It's something that we're very excited about, an opportunity to increase the community's access to 100% renewable electricity, lowering electricity costs for our residents and small businesses at the same time. We're partnering with the Town of Pittsford and the Village of Pittsford. And this, in addition, will raise funds for our community. So for each enrollment in community solar, the program administrator, Joule Community Power, will donate $50 to the town's sustainability fund, which we in turn can use for future sustainability projects. Community solar allows you to tap into the benefits of solar without needing to install your own solar panels. And you can save up to 10% on your RG&E electricity bill. This is the next step in Pittsford's longstanding commitment to a healthy and sustainable environment. We're pleased to be able to offer it to residents and small businesses. Delighted tonight to introduce to you, for those of you who are not already familiar with them, our partners in this project are friends and advisors from Roctricity and from Joule Community Power. And so Roctricity and Joule Community Power, over to you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Smith. This is Sue Hughes Smith, and I am from Roctricity. I'm just taking a second here to share my screen. For folks who may need interpretive services, we do have Allie with us here this evening. And be sure if you need to pin her, that may help you to follow her for the entire presentation. Okay. And you should now be able to see my screen. So welcome. Welcome to this evening's presentation about the community solar opportunity here in the town of Pittsford. As Supervisor Smith noted, this is being conducted under the Monroe Community Power aggregation. Monroe Community Power itself is not a thing or an entity, it's a name that represents the joint effort by some municipalities as well as Joule Community Power and Roctricity. So more of that in a second. So thank you, Supervisor Smith, for your leadership and for kicking off this evening's event. I'm Sue Hughes Smith with Roctricity, the local program manager. If you need help in any way, if you give our office a call, you will get a hold of either myself or my three colleagues, Ben Freevert, Melissa Carlson, or Margie Pete. I'm also joined this evening by Victor Melendez from Joule Community Power. And Joule is the official community choice aggregation program administrator. And they have gone through some steps to be approved by New York State's Public Service Commission to run community choice aggregation programs. So for this evening, I will just touch on briefly what Monroe Community Power, that partnership is, community choice aggregation, very briefly, and then getting into the kind of the heart of the material, which is what is community solar, and the benefits, the case study, and the enrollment process. All of the community solar material will be covered by my colleague, Victor Melendez. And then we'll get into some frequently answered and asked questions and some Q&A. So it's ideal if you hold your questions and answers till the end, because we're likely to answer your questions. But if you feel you just can't wait, please do use the Q&A feature, where if you hover your, your mouse over the bottom of the screen, usually could be the top of the screen, you should see a menu pull up or down, and you'll see Q&A. And if you click that, you should be able to submit questions, ideally towards the end. Okay, so the Monroe Community Power Partnership. Again, there are 4 communities, Brighton, Irondequoit, and Pittsford, as well as the Village of Pittsford, that came together to pursue clean energy opportunities together. Each municipality is functioning independently, so their offerings vary slightly, but they have a joint commitment to bringing more sustainable, more green energy to our area. Joule Community Power, again, is the program administrator approved by New York State's Public Service Commission, and Roctricity is the local program manager. So both of these programs, Community Choice Aggregation and Community Solar, which has the technical description of community distributed generation, these are community-driven programs. New York State is planning, in fact, they put in law the requirement to achieve 70% of our electricity from renewable energy by 2030. And that means we really need to accelerate the development of community scale renewable resources. These two programs, Community Choice Aggregation and the opt-in or Community Solar Subscription Program, can help to address those needs. Again, both of those, Community Solar and Community Choice Aggregation, reduce carbon emissions, reduce electricity costs while protecting consumers. And that consumer protection is a feature of programs that are run by Joule Community Power. They are taking your interest to heart when they craft contracts, and you can be sure all of these are vetted by your municipality. So Community Choice Aggregation is an opt-out program that sources energy needs or energy supply for anyone in the community who wants it. And Joule pursues 100% New York State renewable energy when pursuing that option, with the goal of saving money compared to what individuals could access themselves, and with a low fixed rate. This evening, we're going to focus much more on community solar. This is an opt-in program. It's something you need to subscribe to. You have to choose to enroll. It can support local community solar farms. It guaranteed savings as close to 10% off your annual electricity costs. And each participating community earns $50 for each enrollment to a local sustainability project. And as the supervisor noted, that's a donation from Joule Community Power. So I know the town of Pittsford has pursued community choice aggregation in the past. We hope they will continue to look at that as an opportunity for the entire community. But that is a policy that enables municipalities to source energy on behalf of its residents and businesses. New York State enabled this in 2016. And it creates a win-win-win situation where community members are able to save money by accessing cleaner energy and have consumer protection. So we hope to be visiting with you again to talk about community choice aggregation in the future. But this evening, we really want to focus on community solar. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Victor Melendez from Joule Community Power.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you to the team at Roctricity, Supervisor Smith. Thank you so much. And for all the work that's gone into bringing this message and this program to the residents and small businesses in throughout Monroe County. It's the town of Pittsford tonight, but truth be told, anyone who resides within the RG&E electric grid can participate and see benefits from this program. We'll talk about a little bit more about how that's possible. But from a bird's eye view, when we think about community solar, or when we think about solar, we often think about the ability to install solar panels on our rooftops. Community solar projects are small renewable energy generators. They are they're equivalent to somewhere between 400 and 800 household installations of solar. So you drive down the block and you see your neighbors with one installation of solar on their roofs and or freestanding solar panel in their backyards or on their property. We're talking about somewhere between 400 and 800 of these isolated onto one area, and that's what is called a farm. What these farms allow us to do is to access the benefits of renewable energy. Who can access it? Residents who do not own their own property, do not have access to their roofs. This is renters, small businesses in the same situation as well. What's important to note from this bird's eye view of overview is that what brings partnerships like Roctricity, Joule Community Power, your municipality and other municipalities that are your neighboring towns and villages, is the fact that these developers, the folks who are developing these solar farms, have difficulty acquiring subscriptions and people to subscribe to those facilities. The subscriptions are crucial because with those subscriptions, it allows them to push forward in development. The more subscriptions they get at that location, it allows them to launch that facility sooner, and that feeds more renewable energy into the grid, as well as brings the benefits to us as an individual consumer and supports the energy throughout New York State, reaching those goals that Sue made reference to earlier. So Community Solar 101, that's what I call this slide. How do you get involved in it? What is it? You subscribe to a share of that solar farm. The solar farm then feeds that clean energy that it produces into the grid, your utility grid. And you earn energy credits for participating in the program and supporting that generation or that production of clean energy. What that means more clearly is that the electricity that is being produced is not delivered directly to your home. This credit, I call it a thank you. This is a credit that's added onto your bill to guarantee savings to up to 10% annually. That is put on there because you have subscribed to support the continual generation of clean energy. So that farm then feeds it back into the grid. You're purchasing that energy credit at a discounted rate, and that reduces your overall electric costs. You will continue to receive your bill from RG&E. What happens is that then you receive an additional bill from the solar provider. In this situation, your solar provider would be Ambient, and Ambient is Ambient Energy. And Ambient Energy will send you an additional bill. The utility and the solar provider work very closely with each other to make sure that their accounting is correct. In no way do you ever get charged for the same usage twice. And what you'd be paying from the ambient bill represents roughly 10%, or that's where you realize your savings is roughly 10% of your overall usage that would be seen on your RG&E bill. We're going to repeat this a couple of more times in the presentation. I wish it was a little more linear of a description, but there are a couple of steps here. What's important to note that if you are already subscribed to a community solar program, you will not be able to subscribe in this program. You're already receiving the benefits of this type of subscription. The other thing is that if you already have solar panels installed on your property or accessing the benefits of it, you also would not be able to also subscribe to this program. So reviewing the benefits straight down the line, this program is available to residents and small businesses. If you have a demand meter on that is easily identified on your bill, you're not eligible for this program. If you have net metering, which is a more indirect way of saying that you're already gaining benefits from solar panels that are installed on your property, you'll also not be able to benefit from the program. This program does guarantee savings. This program does support the generation of local renewable energy. The way we define local is that those solar farms that we are working with, that Joule Community Power has vetted on behalf of the municipality to deliver these and to promote this program to its residents, those farms are developed geographically within the utility grid. So where RG&E is placed within that grid, those farms also exist there. You're not sourcing electricity from different states or different sections of New York. Your utility company still is responsible for delivering your electricity and for the maintenance of the lines and any interruptions in service. There are no rooftop panels that are required in participation of this program. And one of the special add-on benefits here is this dynamic partnership, the Monroe Community Power Partnership, brings to you ongoing education, outreach, marketing opportunities if you wanted to get the word out to your neighbors and your friends or your groups. But not only that, we continue to get the word out in sync with the municipal leaders. And we also have a dedicated helpline. So you can call this helpline and get your questions answered, learn more about the industry in and of itself. And if you're already enrolling and have some issues and there's some trouble, we're there to troubleshoot that process as well. Now,
Hey, Victor.
yeah,
Victor, this is Ben. I hate to interrupt.
No.
We're getting a few comments that people are having some difficulty hearing you.
Oh, man.
I know you've had some challenges recently with your headset there. So I wonder if you might try to see if you can adjust that a bit.
Yep, I'm going to bring up my laptop a little louder, and I'm just also going to project a little bit more. How does that sound?
It sounds great from here. I'll monitor the
Okay.
comments and see if we've been able to fix it. Thank you.
Please, everyone, let me know, and I'll project. So Sue made a good point. Sue said it well. This is a opt-in or subscription-based program, which means that you have to choose to participate. It's savings, it's additional, additional renewable energy, but it's something you have to choose to participate in. And that's why we have that dedicated helpline. If you have any questions or concerns, give us a call and we can clarify some things. This subscription has no fees associated with it, which means that there's nothing you have to pay to actually enroll in the program. And if you want to leave the program, there is no fee associated with cancellation. You can leave at any time. Related to cancellation, we do ask that you allow 90 days for the cancellation process to be completed. This allows time for the solar provider as well as your utility company to make sure all of their accounting is in place, that the subscription is replaced if that's what's needed to be done, but it allows that process to be completed. Every subscription has $50 that is dedicated and allocated from Joule Community Power to a sustainability project at the discretion of the municipality to use in whichever way they seem fit. We prefer to encourage a sustainability-based energy and renewable energy themed project, but we've had a lot of amazing projects throughout the state, and they all always are with an eye toward improving our communities. To mentioning money and designation, I wanted to take a moment and just say that there were no tax dollars that were spent in the dedicated mailers that were sent out this year in promotion of this program. All of those fees were covered by Joule Community Power. As well as the first mailer, the second mailer, any of those promotional actions are covered by us, including the Sustainability Fund. So I'm happy to report that as of the close of January, so as of January 31st, the town has already raised $13,500 toward the fund. The other thing that I can say, and we don't document it till the close of this month, so a week from now, is that there has been a major uptick in enrollments, and I believe we've raised another $5,000 plus toward the fund. We officially report it at the close of each month because there is some up and down shifting in those numbers. So that's really excited to share, and the numbers keep increasing. So really do give this program a close consideration. Hey, Ben, any word on sound?
I'm getting some people responding to the comment and saying that they can hear it just fine. So we're not sure whether it's individual participants needing to adjust their sound at their computer or not.
Perfectly fine. That's great. All right, let's next slide, please.
Okay, yeah, before I switch, Victor, just two things we had mentioned before, and that is it's important for the community to know that the only materials you receive in the mail about this program will be on municipal letterhead, because there's lots of other energy mail people are getting, right? Is that correct, Victor?
That is correct.
Okay, and then the environmental board in the town of Pittsford, it has been considering a number of potential projects, and it'll be exciting to see what they're able to do once they have a sense of how much money it gets raised.
That's good. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's and just you can leave it right on that slide, but it's very true. And when we have some more updates on that, we'll circulate it throughout the community and provide whatever support the leadership, the town board would like to have to get the word out there even further, so everyone knows what is being considered. Because those are the fun things to celebrate. This slide represents, this is what we call our case study slide, the efforts toward renewable energy generation and community solar programs is not in isolation. It's not in isolation. So there are some great successes. This represents Geneva Community Power. 2 years ago, they set a goal of enrolling 400 accounts, and they were able to raise $25,000. They decided to designate those funds for stormwater management, programming, and watershed restoration initiatives around the Finger Lakes and throughout those towns. We had this great opportunity to partner with local organizations, nonprofit, for-profit, as well as communicate across multiple platforms in support of them, with them, and in celebration of their great efforts. And further south in Ulster County, and well, these are both representatives of Ulster County. There were smaller efforts that were put into play. This community, the town of Marbletown, raised $9,000. They decided to use that to extend an existing natural rail trail and a walkway that connected a historical walk between two communities. And that was a wonderful opportunity. We were able to, in lieu of not being able to, given current climates and our health and our world, we weren't able to put on a huge celebration. So we printed out a large check, and we decided to create a very simple and direct marketing opportunity, with the idea of sharing it with our community members and circulating it on social media and on the local TV stations, just to let everyone know that during these times of changing realities, we still have these great opportunities to celebrate efforts toward community development. So here's some highlights of this program that are important to note. There are folks that are enrolled currently in an auto pay program with their utility, with RG&E. The enrollment process for Ambient, the solar provider, also requires a auto pay. Now, RG&E doesn't require one. That's optional on how you would like, what method you like to use to pay your bill. Ambient does require setting up an auto pay system. These auto pay systems do not double charge your account for the same amount. They work much in the same way that the paper bills would work, where you see your RG&E bill show up. There's a credit on the bill of your savings. The balance or difference of those two is delivered on the Ambient bill, and the Ambient bill is what you pay. The auto payment works in the same fashion. Your information is secure. Your privacy is protected. The Public Service Commission requires and mandates a high level of security and third-party auditors to control the movement of information for folks involved in this program. That is consistent. An example of that is that at no time is anyone that's working at our call centers and our helplines, do they have access to your personal information, your bank account information, social security numbers, anything that may be social security numbers are not required for this, but anything that may be required for the enrollment process, that is personal identifying information, is not accessible or visible by helpline workers. That is audited by a third party and controlled by a vetted system. There's only one way to enroll in this program, and this begins to get at what Sue mentioned a moment ago, is the only way you enroll in this program to have that $50 designated to the Sustainability Fund is through the website, www.monroecommunitypower.com. We do not cold call. We do not make cold calls. We do not do door-to-door solicitations. And again, there are wonderful community solar companies out there doing wonderful work. Everyone is pushing toward these same goals. This program that's been vetted by Joule and has been reviewed and approved by your municipality is one that is here for you. We ensure the security of your identity, identifying information, and the benefits that we line out in these contracts. We ensure that they are there for the life of the contract. And so going back to the enrollment process for a moment, it does require an email. So this sometimes is an issue with some people. If you don't have an email address, this enrollment process does require an email address. I mentioned earlier net metering. Net metering is another way of saying that you have solar panels installed. You cannot be involved in the program if there is net metering represented on your bill. The length of the contract is let me say this a different way. The benefits related to this community solar program exist for the length of the contract. The ambient contract in Monroe Community Power renews after 5 years and then on a 2-year cycle thereafter. This is the design of their legal team. I'm still looking into what the rhyme and reason is for it, but what I did get in security for this situation is that in those turnover periods where the contract renews, the details of the contract never change. They are there for the life of your involvement in the program.
That's a really important point. Thank you, Victor.
And I try to say it as succinctly as possible because it could. So what I would like to do now is go through a couple of steps in the enrollment.
Okay.
And yeah, and the reason why I want to do that is because we receive most often into the helpline phone calls that are asking for clarity on the steps. Did they miss a step? Am I at the right spot? And so we realize that these opportunities for community engagement and education are the perfect times to run through these things. So when you arrive there, you know what you're looking at and you see that it's familiar because you were here with us tonight. First of all, you visit the website, www.monroecommunitypower.com. You're going to navigate up to the word solar on the drop-down menu. When you drop down that menu, you will see the word enroll, and then you select enroll. It's going to bring you to a page that prompts you to select your municipality. You'll have to enter your zip code, and you'll be verifying your utility provider, right? RG&E. At that point, you get shifted to another page, a secure page, and on that page, you begin to enter in your personal information. Next slide. This is what you'll see. This is our website. You'll see solar, and we have it circled in a red circle right now. You will select solar, and it will prompt you, and you'll see at the bottom of that scroll down is the word enroll. You'll select that. And it'll bring you to another page, and it will ask you to verify your municipality. And it scrolls down, and you'll see all the municipalities listed. And this print may be really small, but it's there. And all of them, the towns and the villages are listed there. You'll select that. It'll bring you to, now this is the first page of the secure ambient enrollment site. So you'll be putting in your zip code. You'll verify that you are Rochester Gas and Electric. Hit enter. And now the adventure begins. So you start to enter in your first and your last name, your address, if your service address, and you can go ahead and move forward, but if your service address happens to be different from your mailing address, you have an option to identify the difference in there. There's options moving forward. So right from there, it pushes you further into a secure site because the next pages prompt for more detailed information. You'll be asked to enter in your utility number, verify that email, which means you'll have an email that is sent to your email account to verify that this is you processing through it. Often, it may take 10 minutes. At max that it's ever taken is 24 hours. And sometimes it gets sent into your spam. So we put it here again because these are a lot of the things that come up on the call center. You'll be required to set up a password for your account, and that is your account. That is the account that you'll be using to track your usage, what energy is being generated, your savings, etc. You will be also prompted to review the electronic version of the agreement. You'll sign that, and that allows the solar provider to review your historic use from the previous year of electricity to set your allocation of credits. When you set up your auto payment process, you'll be given two options on how you could do so. You can use credit card information or debit. They both function the same way for this process. There is a 3.5% fee that is charged to the use of a credit card. I personally recommend that folks do the validation of the ACH process. That allows them to validate your bank account information with two small micro deposits. Those micro deposits are put directly into your bank account within 2 days, 1 or 2 days. When that happens, you take those two values, log back into your Ambient account, and you put those two values in, and that validates your system or your account. Now, when we launched at the beginning of this year, a little right before the beginning of this year, there were 4 solar farms that we were subscribing to. I'm happy to report that due to demand and enrollment, those solar farms filled up much quicker than we anticipated. Because of that, we moved forward and started to enroll in another 2. These 2 happen to still be in the RG&E utility grid, but they're further from us, from our center, our town, and it is in Allegheny County. So these are the 2 new sites that are being enrolled in. The solar provider Ambient is looking at and vetting other solar locations as well, so that we can put those back online and continue. There is space at these solar farms, but as we can see, these farms do fill up fast. There is no fear of these closing up anytime soon. But again, solar farms are filling up faster than they have historically, which I think is great. And these are scheduled to go live in September. So we do encourage folks to enroll now, get your spot. This is not a waiting list situation. When you enroll and subscribe, you are allocated to your share of those savings. So next immediate steps, if you're interested in learning more about the program, beginning the enrollment process, seeing more about other offerings and just information about the company and different things we do, please do visit the website, www.monroecommunitypower.com. Again, navigate to solar in the top right side, top corner, and then allow it to scroll down and select enroll. 2 highlights that are going to be added on very shortly is additional FAQ questions that are more specific to things that have been coming up on recent phone calls. And we are going to be uploading an enrollment video this week that walks you through, similar to what I did, probably in a much better way, the enrollment process, so you could see what it is. Oh, and if you have any questions, please do give us a direct call. 585-244-0244. And representatives of Roctricity and Joule are there on the other side of that line to help with any of your questions.
Okay, so we're going to go over a few frequently asked questions, because this may be very helpful. Lots of people tend to have these questions. First of all, how many bills do I receive if I choose to enroll? And what happens is you get 2 bills. So although you get 2 bills, you still get savings. You do need to pay both bills. So you'll get your RG&E bill with all your electricity costs. At the bottom of the RG&E bill, you will see a new statement that says CDG value stack savings, and you'll see a subtraction associated with that. That's the fancy language the utility uses for community solar. After you get that, you will get an Ambient statement showing that Ambient was paid 90% of the cost of your savings. So you get 10%, which is how much will I save? You are saving 10% off of the electric bill annually. So it's not that you get the same 10% necessarily each month, because the solar field is producing solar energy in varying amounts, right? Not so much in the winter, a whole lot in the summer. So in the summer, you may get a lot of credits. and you haven't used them all. And people want to know, well, what happens if I haven't used all the credits on my bill that month? Good news is it's kind of like you get a little bank of credits and they just roll over to the next month. And indeed, they would roll over from one year to another if you were in a situation where you had a lot of productivity, a lot of credits, and you were not using much electricity that year. Okay, another question, am I paying the $50 to the sustainability fund as an enrollee? And you are not. Joule gives back. So the $50 to the town sustainability fund is coming from Joule Community Power. Is my personal information safe? Yes, the Public Service Commission requires that all parties have approved data security plans and that procedures are in place to secure all customer information. Should have changed this. What if I don't live in the town of Pittsford or Irondequoit, but you want to sign up for community solar? You can indeed do that. It's open to any residents and small businesses within RG&E territory. You still enroll through Monroe Community Power. You would just need to pick your favorite municipality to allocate the $50 towards, which I'm sure for everyone here is the town of Pittsford. What if you have a community solar agreement and want to join this program instead? The most important thing is to check with your community solar provider and see what it takes to end your agreement. There may be a fee for doing so. We can't speak to all the different products that are out there. Many people contact us, for example, about Arcadia. We don't have, Arcadia in particular offers a variety of products and we don't know which ones you're subscribed to. So please do contact that provider and find out what it takes to leave if you want to. And you may be very satisfied with the program you're already in. So what makes this community solar program different than other community solar offerings? This agreement was vetted by Joule Community Power. It does not contain any fees to join or any fees to cancel. Can you cancel the agreement later if you want to? Yes, you can. You can cancel without any fee and you can cancel at any time, though it will take approximately 90 days for both the solar and the utility to process all of your request.
And Sue, we'll add in there in kind of support of the contract statement is there are no fees to join, there's no fees to leave, nor will there ever be fees to join and leave this program through Monroe Community Power. As long as you are involved in this program and engaged in this, there are no fees related to entering or leaving.
Thanks, Victor. Okay, it's time for your questions and hopefully we'll get you some good answers. So the first one, how does this differ from Arcadia? I think I just addressed that. We really can't speak to Arcadia's offering because they have several different products. So please try to reach them to clarify for yourself. How about how is annual electricity cost defined? Victor, do you want to take that one?
Yes. So this is, and Sue kind of you actually completed a thought on this, which was the idea that our use fluctuates throughout the year based on sun and based on weather and based on our individual uses for our comforts in our home. What it does is our savings will fluctuate based on the use of our electricity because the credit that has been given to us and allocated for your account is based on historical use from the previous year. So they took the average. So, add them all together, take the average of that time, and then that is how we assess the estimated 10% savings per year. So that's that annual cost. It's an average of all of the usage. And at the end of the year, it matches up to roughly, if not very closely to 10% of savings. So you'll receive savings every month. It may not always be 10%. maybe 9% or 8%, but there will be savings. And on average over the year, you'll see a 10% savings. So it's just an average.
Great. So it's a really interesting question. Is there a possibility that electricity costs could be reduced by a higher percentage in the future? As in, if there are more supporters of the renewable energy grid? It's a great question. I don't, I think everyone's hope would be that energy costs would continue to come down. However, if you look carefully at your RG&E bill, you will notice that the bulk of your cost is related to the delivery of electricity, which is the cost associated with RG&E, taking care of the lines and the wires and so forth. So we can't really predict the future wholesale market. We're fairly certain that for community solar subscriptions, 10% is the market standard right now, and there's no projections of that changing in the near term, though no one could ever say for sure. Okay, so who receives and claims the renewable energy certificates, or RECs, for the electricity generated from the project? Excellent question. And this happens to be the utility. Ben, if you want to chime in, if there's more to say about that.
Sorry, I'm typing responses to other questions.
Oh, no worries. The utility claims the renewable energy certificates.
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay.
right. They're
Just
retired by the utility.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, question. Victor, how about this one? If I signed up with Ampion, is the program you're describing available to me?
So if you, so what I'm thinking that's saying is that if I'm already signed up with Ampion, or I signed up with Ampion individually, directly,
I think so.
I think, yeah, the program's not, it's not available. We can't reallocate. Wait, actually, if you signed up with Ampion during the period when we've launched the program, we can contact Ampion and we can reallocate your enrollment. If you've been signed up, like, let's say 6 months ago or a year ago, and you've been with Ampion for some time now, you wouldn't be able to switch over into this program, but you're already receiving the benefits.
Right, right. Okay, great. If you opt into the program, do you forfeit your credits if you want to install your own solar panels on your own property at a later date? That's a really interesting question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, I know that you can leave a community solar program and then install your own solar panels. That's not a problem. And you probably would just want to look at the timing of that and work with whatever company is installing the solar panels on your roof to ensure that you've made the full use of your credits before you connect your rooftop panels to the net metering.
And I'll tell you exactly what we would do if this call came directly into the call center. Is we would get on a conference call with a representative of Ampion and dig into that answer deeper, because Sue's completely right. It would be a timing game, but it would take the coordination, I believe, of that 90-day period to allocate, and the utility and your solar panel installers, for sure. But
yeah, definitely.
I think you probably would end up forfeiting if you left and didn't time it right. But if you do it right, which shouldn't take too much coordination, you can get the benefits of that and roll right into your own generation.
Right. I agree. Okay. All right. Will you give an example to illustrate how the two bills together end up being less than the original single RG&E bill? So we do. We can. So let's real quickly. Let's say that you have a $100 RG&E bill 1 month, and you get community solar savings of $50 that month. You would get charged from Ampion for 90% of the savings. So for 90% of the $50. So that would be leaving you with like a $5 saving because you're giving them 45 and but you saved 50 off your RG&E bill. Happy for you to call and for me to run through more numbers and take more time. We often spend quite a long time with folks who have that particular question. So please don't hesitate to call us at the office to go through an example like that with you. So why does the town's letter state that a payment method is required to complete the enrollment? That's a requirement from Ampion, from the solar provider. So in order to secure your place in that next solar farm that's due to turn on in September, you need to provide a payment method. There will be no credits and no charges until the solar field goes live. But to secure your spot, that's a requirement. So does RG&E reduce the bill for the metered amount in a ratio that will reflect the solar discount? So the total of the two is actually reduced. Let me try one more time on this, okay? So the solar company, the solar provider, although they're putting electrons on the bill, on the grid, you are purchasing savings. So savings is put on your RG&E bill, and then you'll get a second bill, but the second bill is always less than what you saved off your RG&E bill.
It's just one of those things.
It's just one of those
It's
things.
just
It's like you used a coupon or a Groupon and you had to pay for
Right.
the Groupon. Yeah. Okay, so we enrolled in your program a couple months ago and have an Ampion account. However, we have not received any bills from Ampion or seen any charges on our RG&E bill. The Ampion website reports that we have not been assigned to any local solar farm. How long does it take to be assigned to a local farm? How many local farms are currently online and how many are in the works? Victor?
I will answer that. I'll answer that in reverse order. So we have 2 solar farms that are going to come online September 2021. There are 4 solar farms that are already online and have closed out in the beginning of January. And then the last part I want to say is we did receive a call like this 2 business days ago, because today's Monday. So I think it was Friday, to deal with that. And we dug into the account. We accessed it with the help of Ampion to look at what your status was and where it is. Please do give us a call at the helpline. Give us a call so we can help look at your situation specifically to see where that allocation is. You're probably in the system, and let's find out it. Well, first of all, you are in the system. Let's just find out exactly what the details are related to that. So please do 585-244-0244. Give us a call in the morning. Or do we have access through this to emails?
We do also have an email just at info@monroecommunitypower.com.
Right.
Would be really excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm not going to try to go through another dollar example. It'd really be easier if you just called. Okay. Is there a way for non-auto payment? So to be clear, you do not have to auto pay RG&E. Okay. That's always up to you whether you do that or not. The current solar provider requires an auto payment. We are hoping in the future to come up with another, with a paper option, but the current offering requires an automated payment.
What Sue is saying is that we are speaking with them about that, because we understand that is sometimes a deal stopper with this, and it's important to have multiple options of payment method and enrollment method. So we are in conversation with the solar provider.
Great. So will all our electricity be solar based if we switch? So no, not at all, actually, right? So there's a solar field somewhere putting electrons onto the wires, just like there's a nuclear power plant really near us. putting electrons onto the wires. We have no idea what electron comes into our house. It's a mixture of electrons from all kinds of places. So what you're doing is directing your purchase towards solar generation. And in that way, you're supporting the growth of that industry and the increase of electrons from solar fields being in the mix. Victor, how about this one? The contract is, this woman says, if I understood Victor correctly, the contract is between Ampion and Monroe Community Power. We as individuals should be able to opt out without any contractual penalties, not, understanding that there's that 90-day period.
Right. Understood. So the contract is between you, the resident or the account holder, and the solar farm, where the role, and this actually answers a couple of questions that are floating through this queue. But so the contract is between you and the solar farm. Ambient is the solar provider. What they do is they play the administrator role. They handle the billing, they handle the vetting, they handle the enrollment process, all of those in-between details that the solar provider falls short of being able to do because they are actively constructing and developing. So they are the administrative leg of the developer and the generator, if I could say it that way, Monroe Community Power is just a partnership of the municipality that is seeking to provide these renewable generation and renewable energy options to their residents and small businesses. So that's one part of that partnership. These are not organizations or entities that live unto themselves. Monroe Community Power is not an entity, it's just a collective. And then Joule Community Power is a CCA administrator, but what we do is we represent the municipality. We represent the consumer side of it. So the solar provider provides that and they administrate the ability to enroll in the solar farm. Joule Community Power represents the ability to have the needs of the municipality met and ensures it and vets it and watchdogs it. And then, and Roctricity is our expert local arm of what we do. While we're watching the industry and they're watching their local industry, they keep us on the ground, connected to the municipalities, making sure that we're doing the things that are needed for the municipalities to get what they need for their citizens. And those are the roles as they play out. Any one of those cogs in the machine removed changes the workload on any other and also waters down the quality of the customer service and the one-on-one effort. Yeah.
Great. So this is kind of a similar question to one I answered before, and that is that this area is not known for having a lot of sunshine. So how can we be guaranteed power? And again, it's because the solar fields are just contributing to the flow of electrons that are coming from a wide variety of sources. And so it's not that you're relying on that one field for the electrons, you're just subscribing to get credits or savings from that solar field. And that's why the savings are smaller in the winter, but quite large in the summer because of the variety of sunshine. And annually, that will be about a 10% savings off your total annual electric costs from RG&E. So the Monroe Community Power farms we are currently subscribing folks into are in Allegheny County. And you can look on the Monroe Community Power website under the solar tab and see where the ones are that filled up and where the new ones are located in Allegheny County.
And if you click on the photo on the website, it gives you more information. It opens up and shows you a bit more information about that location.
Oh, very cool. That's good.
I always forget that.
Yeah. Victor, do you know what the typical or average savings a household would see each month? I mean, it's going to vary each
It
month.
varies. It's a hard one to say comfortably. It really varies depending on the size of your home, and then the amount of people who live in that home, the usage, so it's a hard one to pinpoint.
Yeah, but if you spend $1,000 a year on electricity, you're going to save about $100 over the course of the year. So that's probably the easiest way to think about it. Can we remain on the budget plan that we currently have where we pay the same amount each month? You can remain on a budget plan and still participate in community solar. It might be best to check on any details RG&E may have on process or how that might change, but they have assured us that yes, you can be in a budget plan and be in community solar.
And what we recommend there is after you enroll in the process, in the program, give the utility a call and remind them, hey, I enrolled in this program. There's a credit that goes on. This is the savings allocation, because by then you'll have your contract and there'll be details in there, and you can provide that to them and say, I want to make sure that my budget billing still stays intact and that saving represents on it, because it may have you saving more money. You'll be paying less each month in lieu of that savings.
Right.
So just call and check.
Great. So if you leave the area and you still have credits, your RG&E account would close if you leave or move your home. So if you still have credits, you would lose those credits. So it'd be best, if you can, to plan ahead, disenroll in the program if you know you're going to be leaving, let those credits get used up. We can't really give you an average ambient bill amount for the same reason. But what we can say is your ambient bill will always be 90% of what you saved that month. So you will always have savings. Okay.
I'm trying to follow the questions.
I know that they move sometimes. Okay, so if RG&E charges less for electricity, but then I pay the difference to ambient, where's the savings? So the savings is that you're paying ambient less than what you saved off of your RG&E bill, and you end up with a 10% savings between those two things. When will 100% of our electricity be provided by renewable sources? That's a great question. New York State's goal is 2030. It's a very ambitious goal. I certainly hope we make it to 70%. New York State has no goal of 100%, just to be clear. It'll be 100% carbon free by 2040 is their goal. Is there a maintenance crew that clears snow and ice from the panels on a regular basis, or is it left totally to nature?
That's actually a really good question.
I don't know.
There is. They have a maintenance crew. They have a maintenance team, or maybe they hire a third-party provider. But what I know is whether it's in-house or out of house, or if they outsource it, they do have a maintenance team that takes care of those, especially during inclement weather situations.
Mm-hmm. Great. This question, is there a better time to join? I mean, it doesn't really matter when you join, because annually the sunshine varies, right? So you're going to see much higher savings in the summer. You'll probably have more savings than you can use in the month. They'll carry over to the next month. So it doesn't really matter when you join in that regard.
Hey, Sue, it's 1 minute to 7.
1 minute to 7.
Should we scroll through and see if there's any major heavy hitters these are great questions.
These are, yeah. If you're in an apartment building, all the occupants do not need to enroll. It could be on an individual basis.
If you're paying your own electric.
If you're paying your own electricity, right. That's a good point. Yeah, so if you have an electricity account, this program's available to you.
If your rent covers your utilities, then it would have to be the owner of the property that decides to enroll either your account or all the accounts collective. Tell them to give us a call.
Right. So I don't know when you'll have a CCA program. I know the town is currently revisiting the options for that, and hopefully we'll have more information for you in the coming couple months. Definition for a small business, excellent question. Accounts that are not demand meters, they're SC1 or SC2, that's a typical small business. And if you're not sure, give us a call and we can help you look at your utility bill and sort that out. Victor, you mentioned a 5-year contract, but you also said you could cancel at any point. That seems confusing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's more of a benefit to the consumer than it is than it is for the solar provider. The contract is what is required to promise that they are going to provide that service to the consumer for 5 years, and then it renews every 2 years. Normal solar providers have 20-year plus contracts. The life of these solar panels tend to be 20, 25 years and beyond. So it's normally 20 years. The reason why I wanted to highlight during this presentation that it was a 5-year contract and renews every 2 years is that is their promise to you to deliver those services for that time. They are going to continue moving forward regardless. They're not closing down in 5 years or 7 or 9, but that is just the structure of their legal document. So that's why I wanted to mention it. You can leave at any time. There are no, and this answers the second half of that question that I started to answer, and I forgot I owed a second half of that answer. The contract between you and the solar farm, the reason why Joule Community Power stepped in to vet those contracts is to ensure that that contract stipulates that there are no exit fees related to that contract between you and them. So even though it is at a minimum of 5 years that they are providing this service uninterrupted, which it's going to go 20 plus, such a confusing thing why they did that, but you can leave at any time.
Right. Right. Okay. So 2 things. One, in the example I gave you where you had $1,000 and you ended up saving 100, I'd already netted the difference. So you actually would have seen more than 1,000 savings on your RG&E bill. 90% went to Ampion. You end up saving $100. Okay. I'm not trying to avoid any question about Texas. It's just now coming onto my screen. So the situation in Texas is complicated because there's a lot of misinformation and a variety of layers of information, both being shared. So first of all, wind energy is 7% of Texas's electric grid. The power outage was primarily due to wires being down and the pipes for the nuke and the natural gas plants being frozen in the ground that shut those power plants down. Okay, so that's one piece of it. The spikes in pricing is an excellent question. And this program does not make you vulnerable to that situation. And this is why that spike in pricing is a result of poor regulation on ESCOs in the state of Texas, of a energy service company. Okay, many of us have kind of gotten gouged by ESCOs in the past in New York, and New York then clamped down on that behavior to a large degree. This community solar program doesn't have anything to do with ESCOs. Okay, so you are not vulnerable to that by participating in this program. So I just want to be really clear about that. Okay. Okay. I think that is most of the questions. There are 6 more here. I think I've answered. Does Ampion offer both community solar and community choice aggregation programs? No, Ampion is exclusively a community solar provider. The next question, I pay the same amount to RG&E monthly, adjusted yearly. Will Ampion average out bills or charge for monthly usage? Again, Ampion is only charging a percentage of the community solar savings. So it's like you get a $20 coupon, value $20 coupon, and you pay $15 for that $20 coupon, or whatever 90% of it is, which is not the right amount, but you get the idea. So we get a 10% savings, but Ampion takes 90% of that, which means we actually save, no. You get a huge savings and Ampion takes 90% of the savings, leaving you a 10% savings. please call me if that still doesn't make sense, and we'll walk you through it on the phone and write out some numbers, and we can look at it together.
Right. You get a roughly a 10%. You get 10% savings on your bill, just one bill. You get 10% savings on that bill. The 90%, the difference of that bill is what Ambient pulls over, and you pay that 90%. The credit shows a reduction in roughly 10% of the one of your entire electric costs, and that is how your savings is realized.
Mhm.
So it's your 100% of your electric cost. There is a roughly 10% credit applied to that. And then the remaining roughly 90% is what you're required to pay. What was commented on earlier was that 90% of your entire cost is what you end up having to pay on the ambient bill. In paying that 90%, you're saving the other 10%. And that's where the savings is realized. The more you say it, the more confusing it gets, right?
So we're past time, but I'm going to take
Yeah.
this one last question,
Mhm.
and we're only, I want to be sure our interpreter doesn't, overwork her arms. So the question is, so what would be the cons? Actually, that wasn't the one I wanted to do, but okay. What would be the cons of entering this program after this? Okay. It's hard when things keep moving. The question was about the Catch the Wind program. And the Catch the Wind program is a program that RG&E offers where you pay extra to RG&E, and RG&E purchase wind energy on your behalf. And you always can do that if you want to do that. If you're participating in this program, you essentially are purchasing renewable energy equal to your usage. So there's no real need to do that, to also do the Catch the Wind program, if you're only concerned about your own usage. So by doing both, you would be paying for someone else's energy to also be renewable. So
I want to say thank you on that great comment on how to better describe the money.
Mhm.
We're going to definitely use that, and we're going to work on a couple of different techniques, because it's something that you have to repeat a couple of times to get it. And then Sue, the last question at the bottom is your favorite question about why can't it be one
is.
bill? Let's close with that. I think that's good. And then
Yeah,
maybe Supervisor Smith wants to
close us out. That would
maybe,
be great.
yeah.
That would be great. So we are all, Roctricity, Joule Community Power, the solar developers are all excited for the day when all of this information just goes on one bill, and that day is coming. That day is coming because the Public Service Commission has required RG&E and all the other utilities to consolidate the bills. So come April, RG&E has to be prepared to consolidate bills. Then they have to implement it, and the solar provider has to take an action. So hopefully very soon, this whole two-bill thing will disappear. And that will be a great day. So I'm going to stop screen sharing. I cannot say that, screen sharing, so that Supervisor Smith can close us out.
Well, thank you so much, Sue and Victor and Ben, for so much information tonight. There were a lot of questions that were tackled, and I hope everybody got a lot out of it. If ever I've seen a program that is a win-win from every perspective, it's Pittsford's Community Solar Program. And I encourage you all to, if you have further questions, to contact Roctricity and Joule, and above all, sign up. It's a great deal for everyone. Thank you all so much, and good night.